Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the EU Challenger Series. Before we get to Mouse and Lowlandlions, check out the featured Challenger article where our friends over at LLL Esports break down Origin's team composition that they used last week against Reason Gaming.
Yeah, and the author of the article, Glycerol, he dubbed this the Mage Mageddon comp. And I actually quite like that. You can see just how they utilized the Vigar stun. Sorry, this was 5.3. Not anymore, guys. I'm 5.4. Into the Dark Binding. And, just made their opponents go pop. And if you want to play the Mage Mageddon comp, or at least want a couple of tips on it, you're going to have to find that article. And to find it, you're going to have to head over to LLEsports.com's Challenger portal, where you can find it under the news section.
But you guys at home actually have the luxury of playing Veigar, because these guys here can't play it, but you can now play the new Veigar with the delayed stun.
Yeah, you can indeed. And, after reading up about the composition and getting that all sorted, you can also stay on track with all of the EUCS standings and catch up on all the past matches, including Tuesday's games in full over on the VOD section.
Yes, indeed. But now it is time for our last game of Week 3 between Mouse and Lowlandlions. Mouse have not won a single game and are now 0-5 because of it. This is a team who was seriously lagging behind the rest and haven't shown many signs of improvement, to be perfectly honest. Especially Lowlandlions, who have started the round robin demolishing Dignitas EU, so they have a long ways to go. But a couple weeks ago, Mouse could be looking at this match and saying to themselves, this is our chance to get ourselves on the board here, Stress. But with the Lions on the up and up and Mouse stagnating, that doesn't look like the case anymore.
Yeah, it's definitely, all up in the air.
Yeah, it is indeed. So let's take a look at the rosters and run through them. So for the blue side, it is Mouse with Zazas, Robin, Soz Purefect, Cedrian, and Mountain.
It is indeed the lineup. And over on the other side, Morsu in the top lane, Kyrie in the jungle, CosQ in the mid lane with Visility and Hybrid as AD carry and support.
Yeah, and between these two teams, we want to bring the top laners to the spotlight because in recent weeks, the top lanes kind of been outshone by the mid lane, the AD carry talent, and we specifically want to see how these top laners and how their styles interact on the battlefield.
Yeah, and they are top laners with very different styles. Firstly, we'll look at Zazas, who typically plays tank or AP style top laners. In the last couple of weeks, he's been playing Nara and Dr. Mundo pretty much, and he's had a KDA of 1 in 3 games, average over the 3, and that's not exactly the best kind of spot you want. When you're playing Nara or Mundo, you want to be involved and not really dying a lot and getting a lot of assists, so that hasn't really worked out for them. On the other side of things, Lowlandlions Morsu is a far more carry-oriented top laner. Yes, he still plays the Nara, but then look at the rest of the champions. Irelia Jax Wukong. We were surprised by the Wukong last week as well, and he's only got a KDA of 1.7, so for as much as a carry top laner style, he's been dying a little bit as well. So, even with differences in their play styles, they're pretty similar with regards to their KDA and the actual effect that they have on the game.
Yeah, and we'll see what the effect was yesterday because these two teams went head-to-head. We'll see how this one worked out. So it was a very similar start to last week with the turret trades.
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure why Lowlandlions keep finding themselves in this kind of position, but they love to push turrets quickly. Bit of deja vu here. But this week, it works out a lot better for Lowlandlions as they take the 2 turrets and take a dragon without trading anything in return to Mouse.
Yeah, Lowlandlions start up this game extremely strong, and then they try to extend their lead coming into the bottom turret, trying to get their 3rd turret now, but Hybrid goes a little too ham, and Cedrian just blows him up.
Yeah, indeed. But Kyrie turns his attention to the top lane, gets the kill on to Zazas. And, from there, they traded his tower to bot lane.
Yeah, and while all this looks incredibly flashy from CosQ, he doesn't really accomplish anything. And Robin just comes in from the side and comes in for the bouncy castle play, chaining his Unburrow with the Wild Growth. Yeah,
and at this point, Cedriel's going to channel hit his inner Maple Street, take off his shoes, and bounce onto a double kill here in this mid-game fight.
Yeah, and 8 minutes later, Cedrian's time is up as he eats a charm courtesy of CosQ, who then follows up with another pixel-perfect charm, this time onto Robin, which secures him the 2nd kill of the fight.
And from here, back-to-back objective fights just around Dragon and Baron leaves Lowlandlions far enough ahead to completely shrug off this attempt at disrupting Baron here out from Mouse. And honestly, they take the Baron from themselves, and it looks very good.
Yeah, and Mouse just kind of squeak away, and the Lions just roar as they come in for the siege and the top lane inhibitor, and from here they just kind of close out the game. Lowlandlions are so far ahead.
Yeah, we thought perhaps there was a bit of a comeback for Mouse at one point into this game. The game went a little bit longer than we were expecting, but Lowlandlions overall were looking pretty strong in that game, and one of the reasons why was Kyrie. Look at that jungle Nidalee performance, ended up with 14.1k gold.
Yeah, kind of have to feel that people have to start taking away those Nidalees because they are starting to mount up with the stats. But in the top lane, we saw Morsu as well, did so well, 13.0 KDA, can't argue with that, and 260 CS to boot.
Yeah, and he was playing that Fizz, which we've seen take on that bruiser role now up in the top lane. But the last play we wanted to highlight was Mountain. Although his stats aren't exactly the greatest, he was one of the big proponents of what we thought could have been the comeback for Mouse. He was landing a lot of dark bindings, getting himself into fights, and overall just looking pretty solid.
Yeah, indeed, and he'll have to do the same thing if he's able to try and actually get them a victory today in this game stress. But before we get into Champion Select, I'm interested to see where the bans go, honestly, because there's so many different directions they can go in, and especially with Morsi, we were talking about the top laners before, and how like a lot of the bans yesterday were all on him, and by a lot I mean all of them.
Yeah, almost all, I think would be fair to say. Well,
Lissandra was a flex pick, but again, could be aimed at the top lane.
Yeah, exactly. Sorry, I was looking at all 6 bans there, and I was thinking, that's,
Yeah, it's fairly unlikely for someone to ban out their own top lane. It's like, we really don't want you to play Gnar. I'm going to ban it. Make sure you don't.
Well, I guess no, you've played enough games with me to know that you can ban my champions.
It's just like, oh, you like Leona? See ya.
Yeah, certainly though, in this game, as you said, I'm expecting a lot of focus on to Morsu.
Yeah, so we'll see what the first ban champion is going to be from Mouse. They do have the blue side, so they have the first ban and the first pick to do what they want. And yeah, we've talked about the top lanes, and what do you know? Jax comes in 2 times for Mouse, the second time now into that top lane of Morsu, and they respond with a mid lane ban in the form of Zed. Yeah,
straight away bans that are just pretty much carry style champions. Jax, Zed not going to be available, neither is Nidalee. So interesting that Mouse would now ban Nidalee on the blue side. It was Lowlandlions playing Nidalee yesterday on the blue side. So Mouse clearly don't feel confident enough in such a pick to first pick it for Robin.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen Robin play a lot of Rek'Sai as well. Maybe they just want to try and default to that, and they ban it away. So Lowlandlions are saying, okay, we're going to start taking away your options. You're doing that to our jungler. They respond with the Aurelia, so they also take that one away. That leaves Lissandra open as well for possible flex from Lowlandlions, and that might be even the first pick here. They ban out the LeBlanc as their last one from Lowlandlions.
Yeah, and keeping in mind we're on 5.4, so there are a couple of different changes to champions. So we're no longer seeing a couple of other flex and mid lane bans like Kassadin anymore. So Lissandra is still a very strong flex pick here. And, you know, Mouse obviously feel very confident. They lock that one in straight away. But one thing, you know, from here I want to kind of talk about is that we're now on to tier 2 junglers. Nidalee and Rek'Sai not available. This draws us down to the Lee Sins, the Jarvans, the Vi's. Yeah, Vi actually has been a big champion, especially over in North America. So now we have to find out how far down the list has Jarvan fallen. Is he tier 2 still, just from his team play? Is he any further down? What are we going to see?
Yeah, do they choose to even pick the Vi over Jarvan? Because, you know, go back a week or so, that would not be the case. But Ari maybe even picked up here. She's been picked up so much. You know, after week 5, it was like 10 times, I believe, like over the course of the split. Incredibly strong, and the teams recognize that. So they've just been playing that over and over and over again.
If they lock Ari and Janna, I'm quite glad that they change up, because there are still a big few picks available. Kalista is available. Obviously, you don't want to play it into the Lissandra, so now they're kind of giving that potentially over to Mouse should they want to pick it. And that's going to be a fairly strong composition. You know, we did see that in the last game not be successful for Reason Gaming, but that was a lot of how to do, how the early game went is really what kind of undid the Lissandra and Kalista.
Yeah, so the Corki was locked in there alongside the Ari. They were contemplating the Janna, which has been changed, but we'll get to that later. But interestingly enough, they do pick up the Jarvan, so that kind of answers our questions. And Lowlandlions were thinking about the Janna, but Miles are going to be the ones to take it away.
That's really interesting that under Rek'Sai and Nidalee, Javan is still there.
Yeah.
So more so than you know, you would see a Lee Sin, something like that. Still feel that his presence just in team fights is enough, and that's a very fast answer out of Lowlandlions.
Yeah, so we're talking about where did they go from the top tier, and now Elisa's finding it way back in as well in competitive, looking for maybe a more pick-focused composition. Do have the Braum coming out here as well for that tanky front line. And that was a very fast lock-in from Lowlandlions. They had an answer immediately.
Yeah, they did. And interesting that Elise is getting picked up. Vine not even thought about here. No thoughts towards the Lee Sin or the Nunu that we've seen over in LCK time and time again. So these teams purely focused on these junglers that are a little bit more pick-focused when you look at an Elise, and then a little bit more team fight when you go over to a Javan. So Braum is going to give Corki a fair amount of front line here, so that Corki can sit back, land a lot of damage, and between that and Ari, they have a fair amount of damage on this Lowlandlions roster already.
Yeah, they really do. They have that ability to pick. On the flip side, we've got this Robin coming in again with the Jarvan. May even suffer early game against Elise if she decides to counter jungle, because his early game is going to be suffering from that loss of armor. But we do have the Sion again locked in for Mouse coming in here. That will be going to Zaz's, and then the Kalista as well for the Janna lane.
Yeah, indeed. And up in this top lane, there are still a few things available. Fizz is available for Morsu should he want to pick it, and we know it does fairly well into melee matchups. It's difficult to trade against Fizz, and Sion could potentially be a tricky lane matchup here for Zazas to run into Morsu. It is touted by a lot of top laners as being a very strong pick right now.
Yeah,
what else is up? It does get locked in.
Yeah, so yeah, as you mentioned, touted by a lot of challenger players, a lot of top players saying Fizz is really strong right now. He's highly contested in challenger solo queue, now brought into the fray, into the competitive battlefield. Yep. And yeah, you're going to be able to chunk through that big health bar of San. He's going to get the extra health, and you're going to be able to chunk it down with the Fizz Seastone Trident. He likes to go Blade of Ruin King, Trinity Force, so he'll be able to cut through that.
So looking down the list, what exactly do these team comps do? Well, on the side of Mouse, they got good team fight potential here. You go in with Javan, you follow up with Sion once the Cataclysm has potentially dropped, and from there you have a lot of damage from Kalista and Lissandra. So Mouse should be okay if they can get into that position, but Lowlandlions have a lot of pick. You look at the kind of burst potential out of Lowlandlions, key the Fizz into that one as well. So much damage.
Yeah, and before the teams hit the rift, hop, skip, and jump over to LLesports.com to throw in your vote for who you think will take this game. And we'll check in with your responses later in the match.
Never was very good at the triple jump, though, so I might hold on to my opinion for a little while. I'll save that for in-game.
I think that's fair.
We'll let you know as we progress through the game. But, you know, I want to talk about something about this Fizz top lane, actually. And that is there's kind of top laners that play Fizz, and then top laners that don't play Fizz these days, which is kind of weird. But top lane is one of those places where there's very different styles, and we'll get into that. Hopefully we can highlight a little bit of top lane as we're into the game.
Yeah, I want to see how that one goes down, because we are now getting into game for our final game of today between Mouse and Lowlandlions. So we'll be waiting for those teams to hit the rift and hit the ground running. There we go. Sejun will be binding to his lane partner of Mountain. Sometimes you do see Kalista even go for the jungler, but that's like almost never happens unless you're playing Kalista top, and that also never happened.
Yeah, I'm just gonna leave it at that one for you, Paul. Sorry. At this stage, though, Kalista is becoming quite the difficult champion to play against in the bottom lane. Yeah. Corki has had a pretty good job against her. You saw it in the last game, but just in general, if you don't lock her down with a lot of single target point and click stuns, it's difficult to get to her. And you look at this lineup, Fizz has to land the fish, Elise has to land a cocoon, and Ari has to land a charm. Same with Braum with his ultimate. It's not direct crowd control that you can just point and click on them. You have to line it up, and that could be difficult.
Yeah, Visibility though, maybe caught out here. Just managed to get that extra damage from the Sentinel passive. Sejun coming in here. As get those auto attacks down. The last auto attack gets another free gold. Kyrie from the side gets that important ward, so we'll be able to see what Zaz is doing. But it was actually in tower range, so Zaz is just going to be like, all right, I'll take it.
And that gives now Mouse the complete freedom to just swap up if they want.
Facepalm moment.
Yeah, Morsu, however, this is smart though. Because if Sion is in the one-on-one, typically he would start over on one of his camps, and they figure they've seen him towards top lane. We can see whether he's doing it on the Wolves. Zaz is, on the other hand, going to go do it on Raptors.
Yeah, so we're doing the same thing here. Do have that Sentinel moving through the forest, just making sure they don't decide to do anything funky. So they know exactly where they are because they have that vision and they have that ward situated there, so they know they're on the Grump. And we'll see if Mouse do something similar. In fact, yeah, they're on the Krug, so they'll be trying to get that early level 2. Hybrid very good at tanking that one up. But you were talking about the Kalista earlier, and I mean, it's the same kind of composition we had last time around in the last game, where they have this heavy front line, they jump onto the front line, and then Kalista just kind of runs circles around them. So we'll have to see if they can do better than Reason. But as you can see, Zaz is just finishing up this Raptor.
Man, Zaz just gave that Raptor run for its money there.
Yeah,
now he's just got to stand here and die. I mean, normally it's a little... Because normally you don't quite kill everything, and then you kind of just come back and, and you very quickly just make light work of it. But Zaz just had to wait out his passive there for a little while. So
it's better actually to die because then you don't have the respawn time, whereas you have to recall.
Exactly. But Robin is looking for a very early gank for himself. Kozq a little bit pushed up.
Drag doesn't land it. That will be the flash coming out from Kozq. Very nice from Robin, getting that summon away from the mid lane very early. Soz Pure Effect will try to take advantage of this.
I mean, for as much as we talked about Javan potentially dropping down, that was not changed in the 5.4 changes. His ability to get into lane early was not changed at all. Will adjust his jungle pathing here. Robin has actually waited for a smite to come back up so we can go and do his second buff pretty quickly after, and then I expect him, depending on his health, to recall fairly soon and pick up his jungle item. Yeah,
he actually had to pop this last health potion there, but maybe with the other smite he might be able to do something. Bot lane though, Cedrian and Mountain are still farming up. Actually went for the Sentinel first, interesting enough, as you saw the extra damage earlier, but they are pushing this lane in, 17 CS to 9. There is a bigger minion wave pushing into Visibility, but not enough to equal the distance. So Kyrie comes in here, puts down the charm.
Cocoon.
Oh, the cocoon onto him. There comes the charm. That one comes around, and Soz Pure Effect does get away with his life, but good predict onto the claw. Of course, that is telegraphed. He was able to get that one down, but with the aggression, puts out his own ward, and that will be seen out by Soz Pure Effect, who does the same.
Yeah, I mean, two options at that point. Kyrie could have just turned and run. Now he's got to turn and run because...
it's like a stealth mission.
Yeah, exactly. It's Bengi 2.0 over here. But Kyrie's going to find himself a different way out, but he's going to run into another Sentinel.
Whoop.
Oh, that's
not quite Solid Snake.
Game over.
You lose.
Snake!
Crab!
At this point, oh no, it's a crab battle. Oh god, that's a blast from the past if anybody hung around on Newgrounds for a while. But at this point, Lowlandlions, you know, they've got control of that river. Oh dear, I didn't expect myself going there on a cast. But yeah, they got control of the river, and they have control somewhat of the lanes. But this top lane is looking a little tricky for Morsu.
Yeah, Morsu just kind of stood there and took it to the face from Zaz's. Puts down the hurt with his Roar of the Slayer, decimating smash. That sounds very scary.
It sounds very scary, but I guess Morsu has taken a lot of damage at this point. But you know, it's not so scary when he screams.
Even the ground trembles.
It's not so scary when he screams cowards and then runs away from you when you have to ult away. So it is yet to be seen. Unfortunately, you know, we had Lumberjack Scion in the last game. There's no like fisherman Scion. I don't think his method of fishing would be too subtle. You know, like those fishermen that have a giant harpoon?
Yeah.
I figure it's just that, but his axe has like a spike on it. It just swings it through the ocean.
The fish.
Exactly.
Got him.
Efficiency.
Efficiency. Oh, so smart. Mountain does get hit by the fast bomb here. Followed up. Well, Jess was just gone. He's just left the casting table.
I didn't even realize I made that joke, but mid lane.
The charm and the cocoon as well. That damage on the Soz Pure Effect gets the ignite down. Robin also takes a couple of hits. The ignite's still ticking, but he pops his own biscuit. And while he chews on the biscuit, he will keep himself alive. Chews through the pain. Kyrie from the bot side. Is he able to get the assassinate off? Very sneaky with Hybrid. Puts down the ward.
He's got a Luchador there as his tag team partner here, and we'll see whether Hybrid can lay some smack down here on to Mouse. Lowlandlions did have the win yesterday, and now they're going to try and force out Soz Pure Effect. Hits the chair.
Hits the charm as well. There's the first blood coming in for Kozq, and Robin is now underneath this turret. Hybrid takes another tower shot. They're very low. This is dangerous. Kyrie will repel up in the air. What comes up will pick up a kill onto the Javan.
Will indeed, and Lowlandlions find themselves at 2-0 off that play. Great little play in the mid lane.
Yeah.
Knew that they'd already got Soz Perfect pretty low, and he was easy pickings, and now they're onto the turret.
That was just really nice from Lowlandlions. The early games have always been kind of chaotic.
Yeah.
And typically before we've seen chaotic fights kind of in terms of the towers where they trade them back and forth, but this time it was just in kills.
That's very true. We haven't had a crazy lane swap, lane push, towers, 2 towers at 4 minutes.
Like something's amiss here. We have to shake it up.
This feels too standard. So Morsu teleports back up to the top lane. Has himself a Bilgewater Cutlass already in this lane. So looking to chunk through some of that health that Sign is going to be stacking up.
Yeah, Morsu coming in here. He's basically even CS, and as you mentioned, Blade of the Ruin King as the first item, maybe even going for the Trinity Force as well. Really starts to pick up towards the mid and late game, where you can start chunking people down. Hybrid as well was just wandering through the river, trying to establish some control. Only 7 minutes 30 in, so a Dragon is not entirely off the cards, because, of course, Kyrie is a thing. He's playing Elise. The Spidings are great at tanking. But, yeah, they are definitely just establishing some control with those 2 initial kills. Hybrid, in fact, heading into the jungle, knowing that they have the timer onto this red buff here. Heads around the side, but Robin was 1 step ahead of them. But was he? Because Kyrie from the top side, there's the chair, there's the charm, there's the cocoon, takes him down. There was no charm, because Q was mid lane, but they get him regardless.
Hybrid tags himself in, gets himself the assist. And from there, Kyrie, another kill here, and 0-2 on Jarvan. This is one of the troubles of Jarvan, is his clear is a lot weaker now. So he gets lower off jungle camps, and a champion or a player like Kyrie is going to be able to exploit that time and time again here. Already 0-2.
I'm a little interested in Robin's build. I'm going to hold that for 1 second as Morsu takes some harass from the big scary Scion, but Robin actually went for Stalker's Blade here.
Yeah.
And we were kind of expecting him to go Trailblazer to keep himself healthy, but again, Q now into the top lane.
Q's heading up. Can they land the charm?
There's
Fish
the
lands.
fish, there's the Spirit Rush as well. Follows up, takes him down. Now they just need to not get punched by Scion as he's now into his passive.
Oh, wow.
Oh, Morsu.
That's, that's a little on the, I don't want to say bad-mannered side, but maybe it is. But,
just a little. Just a little bit. But they do manage to take down the Dragon coming in from Lowlandlions. Cedrin kiting back here. There's the Claw. There's the Engage as well. He comes in with the Glacial Tomb, but he just... no, there he goes. He comes up, comes back down, and eventually gets the Frozen Tomb coming out. Fantastic. Just and 1 kill in return.
Just when you think the Rift Scuttler is your friend, by giving you the repel, creep blocks you and you can't get past. And at that point, Kyrie in a little bit of dire straits, and Mouse will finally pick themselves up their first kill of the game, but the first Dragon did go to Lowlandlions, so in that trade, Lowlandlions will be pretty happy.
Yeah, it's funny, in LCS they were like, oh, it's the first thing that doesn't try to kill me. Well, it definitely kills him there, that thing, the Skull Crab.
It just looks like it's not trying to kill you.
Yeah, but it just gets in your way.
It's always the quiet ones.
It's like, you want to get on this train? No, I'm just going to stand here.
Oh dear, and oh dear. Rift Scuttler is actually evil, is what we're teaching you here on the EU Challenger Series. But at this point, Kyrie going to give that blue buff over to Q. He will do it. There we go. Gets the Q, the Q.
I'm done. So yeah, he has picked up the needlessly large rod, looking not for the Deathfire Grasp, still not in this game. But we do have this aggression from Kyrie again into the jungle. He has been spotted out though because Soz Perfect has warded around the area. There's so much vision around that area in the bottom around the Dragon because of the Dragon, but secondly because of the aggression from Kyrie. So he's been spotted out, and the bot lane must know this, but they're still pushing up. Cedrin and Mountain are a little overextended, but they do back off in time.
I mean, Kyrie did just walk over forwards. If they hadn't spotted him yet, they will now. And now they definitely know, because he just killed the Sentinel. So enough warding out there keeps them alive. But look at this massive CS difference in the bottom lane. 90 CS on Kalista, 264 CS on Corki, and we saw the opposite of this kind of matchup go earlier today, where Corki was as well ahead. And in this situation, Cedrin is in a good spot. We mentioned how yesterday he picked up a few kills. It looked like Mouse was starting to get that comeback from him, and Mountain, potentially it's the same this game. Morsu is going to go aggressive onto Xaxus though.
Yeah, still doesn't quite have that extra HP damage, percent damage of course when he auto attacks. Has that from Season Trident, but wants it from the Blade of the Ruin King. Then he'll start to deal some damage to Xaxus. But until that time, Xaxus will just be continuing to get stronger and stronger, building his way towards a Frozen Heart. Trying to cripple some of that attack speed, perhaps. Kind of interesting, because well, the players on the team really strike me as the attack speed type, not like a Kalista anyway.
I mean, Xazus is going to have to try and deal with some of the attacks coming from Morsu in this lane, so he needs to... Ooh, wow,
Robin from nowhere, jumps as well, again with the Spirit Rush and makes his escape. He just ducked and dived into that fight, and then he was gone, as if he wasn't there.
Yeah, as if by magic, Cosq appears. But, you know, there was a good ward out onto the Raptors there. Make sure that Robin just gets punished again. Top lane, now Morsu wants to go.
It's feeding time. Comes in with the auto attacks. Is still able to kite after him. Comes in with the ultimate. He's not in range, but Kyrie from the sidelines will be taking down Xazus. He'll be putting down some damage in return. Sauce Pure Effect in the mid lane comes in with the Frozen 2 onto Cosq. He knows he doesn't have his ult speed, he knows he doesn't have Ignite, but he jumps, he sidesteps out of the way of the Ice Shard, but Hybrid's there to slam him down with his Q, the Winter's Bite, which happens to be a chair this game.
What should have been a very clean 1-for-0 in the middle lane ends up being traded 1-for-1 just from that missed Ice Shard. Morsu now is still top lane.
Flag, drag, bag, takes him down.
Yeah, Robin will pick up that kill onto Morsu, who overstayed top lane. Bottom lane, action all around the map.
All over the board. Mountain comes in. He will be face called backwards. There's the flash into the Rend, and the Pierce takes him out. The bottom tower falls as well, or should be falling just in a second. Xazus has found himself in the bot lane. He teleported into the action, knowing that Robin had the top lane covered.
Yeah, Xazus just covering here just to make sure that they can get that turret after the kill. And Mouse starting to look like they were showing signs of life here. They get kills top, they get kills bottom, and in the middle lane. Is this what they need to get back into this game? Teleport coming out into the top lane. Kyrie is up here as well. Lowlandlions want to punish Robin again.
Yeah, they're not done. Here comes that smite coming out, but there's the Venomous Bite to follow, followed by the Repel. Morsu is now into the fight. He needs to connect the Urchin Strike. There's the jump as well. He should be able to get it. A couple more auto attacks. There's the Blades of Ruin King now complete. That's a lot of damage. Both teams just returning fire one after another.
Jarvan, just as you can see, his death animation is actually quite brutal.
It's not as bad as Tryndamere, dude.
No, true. Cassiopeia is still the worst when she screams and explodes into chunks. But at that point, that was just a really nice setup there out of Lowlandlions. They know that Robin has not really got the chance to get away from them. And Kyrie holds Cocoon for so long in that engage that it's just a very easy pick as soon as Robin tries to get out of there. So from that, Lowlandlions doing good things around the map. But Dragon is up in 45 seconds, and if they can control that, it would be their second of the game.
Yeah, and it's 13 minutes in, and the laning phase is basically dunsied because everyone's just been roaming from lane to lane to lane, trying to pick up some kills, and every time they're just trying to punish mistakes by going a little bit when someone's overextended just a little bit. And Robin, I don't know what to feel. Like, he's 1-4-1, but has really had an impact on his team because he's really just assisted and allowed them to come back into the game. So we'll see if he can continue it, because yes, he's died 4 times as well.
Yeah, it's one of those open questions right now, is how much more effect can Robin have?
Right.
Because we haven't really got into the point of the game where Jarvan should be that effective. Yes, we've had the early kills and the early ganks from Jarvan that you would expect, but now with his reduced clear time, that is certainly less of an option for him. Now Lowlandlions want to control the Dragon. This could be the potential time for a Cataclysm to make a big impact here, but it doesn't look like they want to go for it at all.
Howling Gale will not get it this time. One day it will, but it won't be this game. And Lowlandlions will be backing off, going into their respective lanes once again. Lots of the outer turrets have fallen. 2 from Lowlandlions, meaning they do have that freedom to roam from lane to lane. Cosq will be picking up the blue buff here from Kyrie. Both of them, in fact, have those blue buffs as well, since they did pick up some kills and able to counter jungle. Robin in the bottom lane here, maybe trying to do something onto Visibility and Hybrid. They don't have the tower there, but Kyrie reads this.
Kyrie does have the read on it, but will they engage? Will Mouse recognize that Kyrie could be around? That is the question here. And Cedrian, he's very far ahead. Blade of the Ruin King to just a Sheen and parts of a Phage. Kyrie's going to show himself. Robin looks to be backing away, maybe looking to line up a better engage here. He wants to go in.
Looking for the flag and drag. Hybrid turns around and gets the Glacial Fission. There's the ultimate. The Cataclysm comes down onto Visibility. He gets blown away by the Monsoon as well. Double kill comes out for the Kalista. And now moving on to Kyrie. Make that a perfect 3-4-0 and the triple for Cedrian.
Flashbacks to yesterday as Cedrian has picked himself up a triple kill at a pivotal point in the game here. That puts Kalista now 5-0-0. That's going to go a long way towards getting a Ruan's Hurricane. 2,000 gold currently on Kalista, and that is really going to just power Mouse into these next couple of fights. And yes, the gold is not even between the two teams, but it's definitely not evil. But you know, Lowlandlions still ahead, but they now have to find out how to deal with this Kalista, and without that point-and-click crowd control we were talking about, that's going to be difficult.
Yeah, 2,200 gold ahead. He even has all of that in the bank right now, in his back pocket, ready to spend. So we'll see where he goes with that. As you mentioned, the Runan's Hurricane is definitely on the agenda, but Lowlandlions, 77%, definitely commanding this fan vote coming in here. And, well, so far, yes, they were very good yesterday, but Mouse have definitely turned on the gas a little in this one.
They have. We're into their 6th game of the round robin, and they've finally started perhaps to show up here. They're still not ahead, but as we said, Cedrian, as long as he stays alive, should be enough for Mouse to take these team fights. It just is dependent on how Lowlandlions want to play them. One of the problems that Mouse are going to have is Morsu is going to be over in a side lane, split pushing, and who deals with him is one of the big things.
Kotsku, flag, drag, gets the Frozen Tomb as well, but now he's in the thick of the action. He'll be going down for it as he's so mobile. That being from Kotsku. He has the flash, he has the Spirit Rush, and they actually turn around and get the 1-for-1. It was the support for the jungle, so they do come out ahead, that being from Mouse.
Corki just showed in the bottom lane, so Mouse should just force this into mid lane if they can get a pick here. The problem is they've run out of a minion wave, and they can't push straight away. So Kyrie and Kotsku get a little bit of a respite here because Cedrian's going to have to go down to the bottom lane to stop Corki from pushing. So a little bit of unfortunate timing for Mouse there that they couldn't continue that push.
Yeah, and definitely heading towards those breakpoints. Has almost got that Hurricane, has the Blade Rune King as well, but in the mid lane it's Soz Purefect who has the Morellonomicon. Likewise, his opponent Kotsku has done the same, and while we haven't seen him aggressing too much because he's always on the back foot, he's always able to escape using that innate ability or mobility from Ahri.
And you know what, in this game, there's big leads for Morsu. It was our featured matchup of the day. Would Morsu on a carry champion be able to undo Xaxis on a tank? That is the exact matchup we have here. And maybe Xaxis feels like he's strong enough this time around to actually... That charge. Not the most intimidating, but they're going to follow up.
He may even pick up a kill and return there. He flashes out the way of the Cataclysm. Hybrid's there to defend him. Stand behind me, says Braum, but he gets prodded and he goes down. Hybrid now trying to get away from this action, and Kyrie doesn't want any of it. He's just out of there, seeing if he can get something done. Hybrid even escapes.
Man, that just... I had flashbacks to, you know, like at Sports Day when they have the dads race, and they thunder along the ground, you can feel the ground shake, but they only go a little bit of the way before getting blown up, and everybody looks super tired. That's what that just looked like with Xaxis charging up, because he already knew he couldn't make the turn, so he just had to kind of stop. Nevertheless.
Memories.
Just, you know, Morsu thought he could trade that. This time the teleport... gets cancelled because they see Visility move away. So that's a big cooldown that was just used. Cedrian has stuck around here. Here comes Hybrid and Kyrie. They could have really used Scion here.
Yeah, they don't connect the Winter's Bite though, and Soz Purefect and Mountain are there to carry on the fight. But Xaxis, he does follow forwards. There's the Fate's Call, and Soz Purefect is dragged into the team with a charm. Uses a Frozen Tomb on himself, but Kyrie's there to clean him up. Visility actually comes in for the kill. Now Xaxis arrives, but that teleport would have been real nice to have a little earlier. He doesn't have the ultimate, but he has it in a couple seconds. They're going to re-engage. Cedrian drops low, and he'll have to be on the back foot as everyone teleports into the fight. Lowlandlions have the numbers advantage. They take down Xaxis, and that's a 2-4-0 in this fight. Unless he can catch up with them, that's not going to be the case, and his final words will just be lol.
I didn't even realize that was the post-death noise.
I was expecting to say something, and then he's kind of that instead.
I was expecting you to say something, and then you just said that instead. So I guess the circle is complete here, as Lowlandlions will take out the enemy jungle as well. Going to get that red buff. Not over to Visility, they want to give it to Morsu. So what that does, actually, is makes Morsu all the more difficult to trade against. Now, this is a 2v1, and Robin's going to have to run for quite some time if he wants... Oh, mind games.
The Great Escape.
Oh, he wants it. Can he? They've cut him off, though. He goes for Visility.
Wow, he's actually trying to pick up a kill here. He comes in with the auto attacks. Does he have the ability to get away? He will jump out of the Cataclysm. No way! Gets him with the Dragon Strike. Wow, Robin.
Oh, Robin. You know, I thought he was gonna.
Gonna.
Hashtag CS or Challenger big plays. That was a big play. Robin stamping his authority. I thought he was gone. And However, he is gone, and now there's a dragon. So I guess he gets the kill.
Yeah.
So he gets the personal credit, but now this puts Lowlandlions onto 3 dragons. So the timing of this couldn't have been worse.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, a personal victory, but a great step for Robin and not a great step for Mouse as a team. So Morsu will be taking this crab here, establishing some more control, but, well, they already have the dragon, so they are now 3 dragons ahead of their opponent. This is starting to become an issue for them.
I mean, the problem is mice only take little tiny steps. So Robin was just kind of like running, whereas lions, they just kind of step over things and squash them.
Okay. Anyway, so we do have Sauce Pure Effect just farming up the middle lane here. Cedric now 6-0-0. Is so far ahead in this game. A lot of their hopes really just right on top of Kalista when we get to these team fights. Robin has had an impact for sure, and you know, we asked the question in the early game whether he'll continue to perform because he had those 2 assists, but he also had 4 deaths. Now only 2 deaths later, he's now got 8 kills. So he's had so much kill participation, 80% kill participation in this game. Robin's really had an impact.
Yeah, he has. And you know, honestly, when we were coming into this game, as you kind of discussed, what could he do? We also talked about the Jarvan pick. We've seen he's gone from being 1-4-1 to now 3-6-5. That's a lot better now that we're into this period of the game where Jarvan is actually effective. So from here, Mouse, we talked about if they can keep Cedric alive, but that kind of last few bottom lane engages, Cedric stepped forward, took a lot of damage, and wasn't able to survive. And if that happens again and again, he did survive barely, being 6-0, but you know, he couldn't output a whole bunch of damage. And at that point, that's when Mouse kind of have to back away from their fights. And however, it hasn't happened too often for them.
Yeah, Lowlandlions in pretty good shape in terms of item builds. We have finally got Morsu on his 2 big items, the ones that he really needs before he builds tank. Trinity Force and the Blade of Rune King, of course. Likewise, Vizility is gonna go for a similar build here. And then out of the jungle, Kyrie hasn't even upgraded his jungle item yet. Even this late into the game, he just went for the Locket of the Iron Solari first.
So it was something that I actually just assumed that he was going for, because he picked up, and when I say assumed he was going for the Juggernaut that we've seen out of a lot of Elise, he picked up 2 Ruby Crystal very early on, and that's typically just a signal that you're heading towards that Juggernaut. It actually ended up going into a Locket of the Iron Solari, and he's had that now for quite a while. Rushed it, as you said, before he even finished the jungle item. And he's gone for a lot of this kind of budget health items. Everything here builds from like a Ruby Crystal here, rather than a big giant spelled item when you look at it. So he's got Sightstone, he's got Kindle Gem, the Locket. So he's gone for lots of little bits of health stacking up.
Yeah, and you know, when I spoke to him when we had the warrior fiasco, he was like, he definitely wanted to go for the Juggernaut, so we know that's the type of jungle item he likes to go
yeah,
for.
Of course.
But yeah, I mean, he just hasn't completed it yet, which is interesting. Typically, we do see that very early on. Here comes the Sentinels, so they do now know where Lowlandlions are hiding. Maus are going to try and use that information to pretty much just farm the lanes.
Yeah, and Lowlandlions have secured this Baron position quite a few times, and they're actually going to start it. So I believe, did they see Robin down in the bottom lane? They have been spotted on this Baron now for sure. As,
yeah, they must have done.
Cedric did just spot them out using the blue trinket. Koski's going to come in and run defense. That is going to be a Baron going straight over to Lowlandlions. Great decision making off what potentially was just an oversight by Robin.
Yeah, but at the same time, basically that. Robin was in the bottom lane, but they were just clearing out all the vision away from Mouse, and that didn't tip them off that they were taking Baron. That's kind of like the classic play, clear out the wards and just go for Baron, but Mouse were too content just to sit in their lanes and farm away. Also curious that Robin was the one to be so, like, the furthest possible place he could be away from the Baron.
Yeah, especially with Xaxus having teleport available, or at least it would have been very soon to be off cooldown if it wasn't available. So interesting at a Mouse that they would actually do that play, as you said, that Robin would be the one clearing. But at this point, Mouse don't really want to fight Lowlandlions all that much, because Lowlandlions now, they've got 2 Trinity Force on their lineup. The Corgis has been completed for quite some time here, as well as nearly having a second Blade of the Ruin King onto Corki, as well as the one they have on Fizz. So LLL are very strong right now, and Mouse, as we said, they have to fight around Cedric and protect him, who has opted for a very early Banshee's Veil when it comes to it. He's now lacking any kind of penetration item, mainly because there is very little armor on the side of Lowlandlions.
Yeah, and it's really going to come down to these team fights. We haven't seen a full-blown one in a little while. But yeah, we've been talking so much about the Kalista, so much about the theoreticals of how the team fight's going to work out, but now it's kind of just gone into zoning, sieging, and trying to push them in as Lowlandlions have that Baron buff now. If you do back away, even 3 versus 4, they're not making a big decisive movement in the middle lane, and now they're just kind of fanning out. This is a little curious from both of the teams.
It is a little bit curious indeed, but you can see Visility heading up to that top lane is going to push that one through, and Morsu is causing problems on his own in the bottom side of the map as well. So at this point, Lowlandlions are trying to pressure 3 areas, but they're about to get engaged.
Yeah, Robin comes in for the flag and drag, and there comes Zazas right onto the back of Hybrid, but he's too far away from his team to try and secure the kill. Kyrie's still in the midst of their jungle. He doesn't have anywhere to run. Now he has to flash to jump over the wall. No one has died just yet. Just a bunch of summoners burned from Lowlandlions. That was a good movement play from Mouse to just catch them in their jungle. Now the teleport's coming in from Zazas.
Visility was trying to take down the turret. Now Morsu goes back to the bottom lane because he knows they have teleport advantage in this situation. So in that fight, Mouse looked to engage, and then Lowlandlions split up to the point where Mouse weren't consistent on who they wanted to target. So now Lowlandlions have shoved all 3 lanes, and they go for Dragon because there's very little chance that Mouse can actually come back and try and steal this. This is their 4th Dragon of the game.
Yeah, that is very significant because just the fact that Mouse weren't even able to contest that is now put them on the clock because next Dragon comes up, they have to contest no matter what. Yes, they have a good team fight, but I would have liked to see it now rather than later. And Lowlandlions picking up another uncontested Dragon is really putting it to Mouse, putting up the pressure. 5,000 gold ahead, but that doesn't entirely tell the tale of the game because they are very even. It's just that added pressure now.
Yes, indeed. It is just a lot of extra pressure. And, you know, Mouse, we've already talked about that 0-5 right now. And if the 5th Dragon goes down to Lowlandlions, that could be that final nail in the coffin of being 0-6 in the standings. Lowlandlions, you know, they've been looking pretty good here. They had a bit of a hiccup last week, but in their first week's games, that beating Team Dignitas Europe, they were looking strong. They were looking stronger than they are now, but still, LLL are on a good path here to that middle of the table here in the EUCS.
Yeah, Mouse are definitely stepping up from yesterday at least. Like their performances in previous weeks have definitely been weak, but this very fast change from day to day might be what they need to start picking up some kills in the later weeks, of course, because they are kind of the reverse of Origin at this point, where they're not guaranteed a playoff, they're guaranteed not to be in the playoffs. So if they can make those iterations, that would be fantastic for them halfway through the split right now. Morsu, however, is splitting away from the pack as he moves into the bottom lane. He has been seen out by that ward, and he's still seen by that ward, so Robin will take the long route back to the lane.
Yeah, Morsu, they know he's there. Cedrian walks over a ward himself. Also, Cedrian now is in a fairly safe spot when it comes to staying alive against just Morsu, because now he just has a Banshees to stop the fish coming out. So if there's no ult for Fizz onto Kalista, there's no way he's going to be able to blow her up. But at this point, LLL don't really mind. They're just going to go take turrets down where they can, push in with Morsu, create a lot of trouble again, and then just keep taking down these remaining outer towers.
Yeah, it's become a game of chess over the last couple of minutes, and it was a nice movement play from Lowlandlions. Yeah, he takes the bottom turret. He even goes for the ultimate, the Chum the Waters, comes in with a flash as well and actually finishes him off.
Straight up 1v1s in that bottom lane. Really just nothing that Robin could do there. That's the 7th death for Robin in this game, and Mouse have managed to hold the mid lane, but Lowlandlions with the next wave joining, as Baron Buff has timed out about a minute or so ago, with the next wave coming into the middle lane. Will they look to push? It's Morsu in the bottom. Yeah,
Glacial Path comes through, follows up the ultimate. Morsu may even take him out, but the Zhonya's comes in from Sod's Pure Effect, keeps him alive. But while that was happening, they committed so many resources bottom lane that Lowlandlions were able to take the middle turret. The Sedgen's on the chase, comes in with the Pierce as well, but he's too far ahead of his team to go further.
Yeah, he is. Look at the damage that Cosq still has, even against Zazas, who should at this point be very tanky. But look how far behind Zazas is in farm. 281 from Morsu, from split pushing to 193 on Zazas. He has not been able to farm up Soul Furnace quite as much as he would like. Now he'll get a little bit of time to add some more health onto those stacks. But at this point in the game, let's take a look at exactly how much. He's got currently bonus 492 health coming from Soul Furnace. So imagine he was up on par with Fizz. How much more of a problem he'd be right now.
Yeah, and Lowlandlions, they got what they came for. They lost a kill, but they got 3 towers in exchange. If you look at how the last couple of minutes have all gone. Nice movement plays top and mid, and then Morsu was just strong enough to brute force his way into the bottom lane. But now it's a little harder because the time it takes to react from lane to lane is way less now from Mouse, so they need a kind of trump card. That being from Lowlandlions, and 20 seconds to go onto the Baron. That has to be the catalyst for the next move of the game.
Yeah, you have to think so, and not too long until that either. Xaxis, wasn't quite able to land that Q. And from here, Mouse, they have shoved out the mid wave. Bot lane, they know Morsu is down there with teleport available, but not even Xaxis can fight against him this point. So, honestly, Lowlandlions are expecting Mouse to just kick off and engage, and then Lowlandlions just completely disengage.
Yeah, Lowlandlions again clearing up the wards, but this time around, Maus are actually there to try and disrupt them if they do go for that Baron. Morsu is in the bottom lane, and he's quickly becoming an issue, so they try to force the issue, and he runs right into a cocoon. Soz Pure Effect stopped in his tracks. Morsu is still becoming an issue here, and Xaxis has not gone back to base to deal with him. In fact, he can't.
He's going to get this.
Yeah, he's just going to take this for free. All Lowlandlions need to do is just keep pushing them away, stop them from recalling, and Morsu gets the bottom turret for free. This is textbook play, but has not been reacted in time. Kozq comes forward, he moves on to Soz Pure Effect, tries to get the kill. He's locked down, though. They do trade that one. Soz Pure Effect again uses his Zhonya's, but Morsu is just taking away this inhibitor, and he's too slippery for Xaxis to do anything at this stage. He's too far ahead into Fizz.
Yeah, Morsu just for the trading one kill. He's actually going to go on Xaxis.
Chum the waters as well into the Urchin Strike. He comes in with a couple more auto-attacks, the Decimating Smash, but it's not going to be enough because Morsu follows up. He gets him with the flip and the autos. He now is in his passive form, but Soz Pure Effect is there. He won't be able to catch up. Now 4 Dragons, Lowlandlions have the bottom turret and the bottom inhib. They have such an objective lead over Mouse.
Yeah, so much so that they just got a free inhibitor. I say free, they traded 1 kill away for it onto their mid laner, who only was just pretty much stopping recalls. Robin goes in.
He goes for the aggression, but the team is not on the same page at all. He jumps in, he dies for it. Now Sedgen jumps in, he gets exhausted. Glacial Fissure follows up. Morsu from the bottom lane. He does get punted backwards by the ultimate there of the Monsoon, but that just puts him back into the line of sight of Sedgen and takes him out as well. 3 and 0. Now moving on to the Dragon. This will be the 5th one of the game. And Soz Pure Effect, unless he can pull off a miracle, which he's not even going to try. 5 Dragons, bottom inhibitor down. This is one of the last nails in the coffin I think Mouse are going to have.
It truly is. Now they got that aspect of the Dragon of 5 stacks with the bottom lane inhibitor, and nobody can beat Morsu as it is. Think of what that does to Morsu now. Not only does he have all the damage he has already on his kit, now he's doing that true damage from his auto attacks as well. So anybody that potentially thought they could stand against him in a lane is now going to have no hope. Morsu's going to teleport into the fight. He doesn't even need to split push now to close this game out. The auto attack damage is ridiculous already from him, and there's nobody on Mouse that can stand up against that.
Well, our big question was who's going to come out ahead in the top lane. How will these styles interact? Apparently Morsu just 1 step ahead of Xaxis in this game for sure. 5-3-3 has a pretty much a full item build, just needs 1 more item to finish that one off. Whereas Xaxis is lagging behind on only 2 big items, and there's no way he can stop Morsu one-on-one himself.
And one puzzling thing for this game, yes, they have a front line in the way of Xaxis, but out of the jungle we're seeing a Black Cleaver. Pretty early finish onto Robin, and we've seen Robin just get melted time and time again. He doesn't really have a completed defensive item as such, and he has no hope of standing up, so he just wants to throw himself and get as much damage down as possible. But Lowlandlions are kind of just building this giant wave now of momentum to kind of like push over Mouse. And they're at the mid inhib. Janna is shielding it for now, but it's a matter of time before that bottom lane pushes in.
Yeah, and Mouse can't actually get to that cannon minion, which is slowly chipping away at the middle turret. He's not been promoted, so it's not going to do all that much damage, but Robin just going for the engage here. Here comes the ultimate, the Cataclysm, and he's so low, but Kyrie, the junglers may exchange here. He goes up for the repel, and Lowlandlions do have to back away just a little here as they do land the final cocoon onto the backside of Xaxis. He goes down, so does the support. Now it's just a chain reaction, and everyone from Mouse will just drop in synchronicity. They all go out of there. Soz Pure Effect, almost a full HP, but he can't repel this siege. He can't weather the storm at all. There's the Ignite 1 auto, and he's ticking down. All they need to do is push down the middle here. Morsu takes him out. There's the Playful Trickster. And Lowlandlions are in prime position to finish this one out.
Cedric did all that he could in that fight. He fought valiantly, but Mouse will not be able to hold on to their bases. Lowlandlions will run them down and take a 2-0 scoreline for this week.
Yeah, that was incredibly well played coming into this one. Mouse, they played way better in this game than they did yesterday, but ultimately it wasn't enough. And they definitely slipped in that mid game when they just split between their lanes, and then Robin was in bot lane. That momentary lapse in concentration just kind of let the whole game slip away from them at that point.
Yeah, and over on the side of Lowlandlions, just how well they played that comp, getting Morsu fed, making sure that he could split push effectively. And, you know, we said it coming into this, Morsu likes to carry, and carry he certainly did.
Yeah, that is the truth indeed. And in this game, that was really good from Lowlandlions. Like, people didn't really have a lot of expectations coming into the split. Now they took down Team Dignitas EU in week 1. They've now done the same in week 3 up against Mouse. That puts them now 4-2. That's an incredibly good scoreline for a team where people weren't expecting a whole lot.
Yeah, it's really good actually for them as a lineup. Everybody underestimated them coming in, and now they've defeated, as you said, 2 sets of opponents, and they've put themselves in really good standing when it comes to the how the groups are standing right now. And you know, at Lowlandlions, they're still a little rough around the edges. We've seen them have these weird trades at the beginning of the game, but certainly as soon as they get ahead, they're showing that they're fairly comfortable.
Indeed. But with another 3 games in the books, let's see how those affected the standings. We talked a little bit about Lowlandlions, but look at their position. 4-2, just underneath Origin, who are now 6-0 themselves. It means the middle of the table is tied up, and now Mousesports are lagging behind again. The same story from week 2, now 0-6.
0-6 is not a position you want to be at this late into the day. But taking a look at next week's matches, remember we'll be recapping all of Tuesday's games, and then we'll kick off Wednesday with Origin at the top of the table versus Mouse, the bottom team at the table.
Yeah, and we'll see if they can bounce back. But after that is Lowlandlions up against Reason Gaming, and then we'll be rounding out the day with Gamers 2 versus Dignitas. The action starts all over again at 1800 CET.
Now, if you missed any of the plays from the Challenger Series or other regions games, you can catch up on the latest VODs over at LLesports.com.
Yeah, just click on the VODs tab at the top of the page and use the drop-down on the left-hand side to narrow down the search.
But that's it for your EU Challenger fix for the week. But for your bumper hump day of League of Legends, the action doesn't stop here. Tune in again at 12 a.m. CET, 3 p.m. Pacific time for Primetime League.
Yeah, and after that, Freak and Zyrene will bring you week 3 of the 2015 North American Challenger Series. Well, that concludes another week of EU Challenger action. From myself, Stress, and our entire Berlin broadcast crew, thank you for watching, and we will see you again next week.
But you're not that strong. Everybody on the other side, Amazing actually goes in again.
Yeah, he's taking a page out of Wonderware's book, and I think he'll meet the same fate, but he's got so much shielding, and Peke was there from the side. Double Distort goes down, and Voidal also happens to be in the middle of the fight. He'll be disappearing from this lineup. Double kill for Peke.
A lot of the wards are just starting to time out, but Ica no cleanse.
Yeah, no cleanse, and there comes the Frozen Tomb coming out. Zayu takes another tower shot. Gilius comes in for the cleanup. He gets one. Gilius, oh, there's the soul up there coming down. Another ice shot as well from Take Fun. He's got his double buffs. He's reclaimed it. And Heaver, one more auto attack. There's the red buff ticking as well. Triple kill.
Here can just kind of push this down. Heaver.
Yeah, they're completely separated between the rock and a hard place. And now Kuban comes to engage onto Ica. Jeebus over the wall as well. He's right in the thick of the fight, and no one can focus him down. Zayu now comes in, gets the land shark jump onto Jeebus, but everyone's there to defend him. Kuban should be falling here. Everyone's so low. This could even be a 5-4-0 here. There's the Foss bomb. He goes down.
Heaver spotted the great time to go aggressive onto Take Fun. He got him!
No way!
Whoa!
What a great escape.
He wants it. Can he? They've cut him off though. He goes for Vigility.
Wow, he's actually trying to pick up a kill here. He comes in with the auto attacks. Does he have the ability to get away? He will jump out.
He got
him! No way! Gets him with the Dragon Strike. Wow, Robin.
Oh, Robin. You know, I thought he was